She cut my hedges, so I built a wall, and the only thing not allowed in the end wasn't my wall at all. It was the sledgehammer she tried to use on it. I'm Jackson Reed. I build houses for a living. Square lines and quiet nights. That's the whole dream. I thought I bought peace on a little cul-de-sac in Arrow Creek, New Mexico. But what I really bought was a front row seat to one person's need to control everything. And if you've dealt with an HOA, you already know the flavor. The morning it started, I was in my garage, sharpening planer blades. Hot steel, cheap coffee. The small music of a good day, when a gas trimmer buzzed in a place it shouldn't have. I stepped out, and there she was in my yard, not near it. In it, visor and pink top. And that managerial smile, cutting my hedges down from a tight 6 feet to something you could lean your elbows on. Those hedges were why I bought the house a green hush from the world, and she was carving it to pieces while a big guy bagged the branches like he was on a timer. I didn't yell, I hit record. Steady hands, calm voice. Morning, Paula. What are you doing in my yard? She didn't even look up. We've had complaints, obstructed sight lines, not in keeping with the look of Vista Crest. Then she said, the part that told me everything. We can't have the neighborhood feel blue collar. I panned from her face to the boundary pin set in my dirt, back to the butchered hedge, told her I was recording, and she said great leadership in action like she was filming a campaign ad. I wanted to swing honest truth, but you don't make a crooked wall straight by yelling, you fix it with a plan. So I called my best friend Eli Torres Plumber, fluent in gravity and consequences. He texted back, I got a shovel, say when. And I laughed because yeah, that happened. But I told him not yet. I printed the CC and R's. Poured coffee, started reading like it was a set of plans. Find the load-bearing lines. Find the weak joints. On page 63, fences and walls, split face. CMU allowed to 6 feet, 3 feet from any sidewalk. My line sits 9 feet off perfect. On page 101, the gem. Architectural review has 10 business days to answer, or silence equals approval. As submitted, day 11 is go. I drew real plans, not a napkin sketch. Footing depth, rebar. Schedule, grout, bond beams. Code. Citations by number and letter 3. Copies time-stamped video of me sliding the envelope into the HOA drop slot, Jackson. Read 18 Pine Mesa Court, October 3rd, 7:42 a.m. felt silly and absolutely necessary. I waited 10 business days of quiet that felt like someone holding their breath on purpose, and on day 11, I pulled my county permit called 811, and a small parade of pallets and steel rolled up my street. The delivery driver grinned. Building a bunker, and I said, building some peace. The footing is the truth. Get that right. And everything above gets a chance. So I dug straight and level until my shoulders burned, and my head went quiet. Tied steel like a metronome. Called a truck, floated the mud clean. Next day, I laid block butter set. Tap, check, scrape, repeat. The rhythm that makes a wall grow from ankle high to waist high, to a line that makes your chest feel settled, and a time-lapse camera blinked away in the corner just in case. On the third evening, a car nose-dived to a stop, and Paula clicked up my driveway. "What is this?" she said, with her whole face. And I looked at those plum corners, those clean bond beams, and felt a calm. "I wish you could bottle. It's a wall approved by 10 days of silence," I said. She grabbed the spare sledge like a prop. Realized phones were out, sat it down with a little metal ring. "This looks like a prison," she hissed. And Eli, bless him, said from behind the mixer. Good news, nobody's sentenced to live here, a neighbor snorted. I pointed at the property pin a step past that, and you're trespassing again. She froze, stared like I'd insulted her ancestors and left. She came back in the most Paula way possible, not in person, but with a crew on the drainage easement next to my wall. Stacking untreated 2x4s into a tall lattice that climbed to 9.5 feet by sundown, throwing a long, ugly shadow across my patio where the morning light used to live. Day 2 they pushed to almost 11. No permit tag. In sight, a safety hazard posing as taste, and the message was loud. Rules are for you, not for me. I didn't email the HOA, I called Sierra County Code Compliance. Rita Collins rolled up with a clipboard, and the kind of tired kindness you only get from folks who've heard every excuse twice measured. Clicked photos, meh. Ma'am over 7 feet needs a permit, and nothing goes on. A utility easement without engineering and approvals, she said. This fails code. Common sense and taste, then posted a stop work order that flapped like an orange exclamation point. Paula went pale in real time. I waved at Rita, went back to striking a control joint. Next tactic, fines $50 for lawn maintenance, with a photo of a patchy yard that wasn't mine. Wrong angle. Smudged numbers smelled like lazy Photoshop. I stood where it must have been shot from, held up that day's newspaper, took my own photo of a perfect lawn, stapled both to the handbook page. Mailed it, certified Exhibit A. 3 days later, $100 for unapproved exterior modification. I added the silence equals approval clause in highlighter. The drop slot video, the day 11 time-lapse start. Exhibit B. Then a lawyer letter threatening a lien improper bin storage oil. Stain on driveway, miscellaneous non-specifics for plus $1. 450 no. Hearing, no vote, no appeal. Exhibit C, got fat. My neighbor retired, Auditor Owen Hale walked over with a manila folder. And that look people get when they've been waiting for someone to ask years of inflated landscaping invoices. Legal retainers spent like confetti. She counts on folks being scared of the words, lean and non-compliant, he said. Push on it and it tears. The night it truly turned, I was at my desk with a framing schedule when my phone pinged camera, 2 detected motion wide shot of the wall, and 2 figures in dark hoodies slipped through my side gate, one of them lugging a sledge. I didn't grab a bat. I hit the floodlight switch I had wired to land like noon and dialed 911. This is Jackson Reed. 2 individuals are on my property attempting to damage my masonry wall. I'm inside. Cameras are recording. You could hear the dispatcher get sharper. Under the lights, one guy flinched. The bigger one swung. The sledge thudded against the bond beam. With this dull sound that told a better story than I ever could, he swung again. More noise than result, neighbors woke. A blue phone, glow blinked in a window. I narrated sizes and movements for the dispatcher, like I was calling a game. Sirens came in hot as the 2 bolted, tripped over each other, and 2 patrol cars pinned them in headlights. Masks off. There was Glenn Porter, HOA treasurer, and Paula's reliable nodder, and a kid with Paula's eyes. Her nephew. That happened. Detective Luis Alvarez took their phones with a quick warrant. The nephew's texts were open. Paula had written, "Is the problem handled yet?" And he'd replied, "Working on it, not a neon confession, but weight context motive." Detective said he'd be in touch. I slept harder than I had in months. By morning, the neighborhood group online had turned into a town square. People telling small stories that lined up with Owen's charts, invoices to Sunset Maintenance, Paula's brother's company, legal letters used like weapons finds that disappeared for her friends. And by afternoon, the 2 surviving board members called an emergency meeting. Security incidents and board conduct. The clubhouse filled with arms-crossed neighbors who hadn't said a word in a decade. Paula tried to start with minutes. The room made a wave of no. I stood. This happened on my property. I can comment, plugged in on an old projector, showed a photo of my hedges when I moved in. Then the clip of Paula cutting them. The gasp felt like relief, finally. Something honest. I walked them through like a bid. The 10-day clause, the drop slot video, the day 11 time lapse, the fines and the bogus lien, and the certified mail receipts. And Owen handed out a 1-pager. 5 years of our money, bleeding out in 2 fat lines. He said, grass and fear. I played the floodlight clip. The room went quiet. In that way, truth makes a room quiet. 2 figures a sledge, the run, the reveal. Glenn and the nephew Paula called me a liar. I didn't need to raise my voice. Detective Alvarez has the phones. I said he can confirm the texts. A woman by the door said, "Motion to remove the president." Another voice. Second hands went up like wheat in wind. The board removed. Glenn voided Paula's ARC fines for the last year, hired an independent auditor. Paula grabbed her purse and left through a canyon of phone cameras. The county forced the teardown of the ugly lattice and billed the HOA. The audit found what Owen said. It would inflated invoices for work. That never happened. Legal fees to scare neighbors. A reserve fund treated like a tip jar. The HOA sued to claw money back, Glenn. And the nephew took pleas and community service a month later. A check landed in my mailbox that covered materials and fees and a little acknowledgement that I hadn't imagined any of it. The new board put simple forms online and actually answered them. I drew a wire trellis for the inside of the wall, planted star jasmine, and one evening, the wind pushed that smell across my patio, and I just sat there. The wall wasn't a trophy anymore, just part of a garden. If you're waiting for the neat credits to roll, here's the messy part that keeps it real. A week ago, Paula's attorney sent a letter threatening defamation over what I said at the meeting. My lawyer says truth is an absolute defense, and we have enough receipts to build a second wall. But still, there's always one more round, and some neighbors think my wall looks too urban for stucco and arches. Beauty is subjective. Privacy is not safety, is not due process, is not. All through this, I kept asking, can a decent man stay decent under pressure when someone with a title decides you don't belong when you're talked down to because your hands have mortar on them? You know what I mean. I think yes, you go stubborn. You pick process over noise, evidence over ego. You don't swing first. You build right. You keep receipts, and you let the work speak. A sledge hit my wall and made a sad little thud. That's what truth sounds like when it's said in a mortar. If you were me, would you have fought it this way, or taken the wall down to keep the peace? Do HOAs protect neighborhoods, or hand small people? Big power, have you seen rules used like a club against the wrong folks? Drop your take and your story in the comments. Tell me what justice looks like on your street, and if you've ever been underestimated for doing honest work. Hit like. So this reaches someone who needs to hear they can stay decent and still win.